Hi, good afternoon. Now, we're delighted to introduce Kunya Ng, who is a co-founder of the Chai Hotel and Club in Malaysian Borneo. She's an entrepreneur who founded the hotel in 2018, and what we're going to discuss this afternoon is the journey she's been through over the last couple of years, why she founded the hotel, what the hotel is about, and what's her experience during this very strange time in lockdown, and about how the hotel is going to be reacting as it comes out of that period as well, and what she learned as well. So Kunya, great to see you.
Hi Chris, thanks for having me.
So you founded a hotel in 2018, that was a brave move. How did that come about?
It's quite a story actually. So I co-founded Chi Hotel and Club, which is a boutique hotel and wellness retreat in Kota Kinabalu, Malaysian Borneo. And so I co-founded with my father, and my father actually went to Italy in his 20s. And over there, he was involved in the fashion and textiles business. And he has always been really passionate about martial arts and meditation. And so he started learning.
Sounds very non-Italian.
Martial arts. That's very stereotypically Asian. So yeah, he started learning from a very young age. So while he was in Italy, so apart from running his fashion and textiles business, he also started teaching martial arts. And he eventually set up a martial arts organization, which now has about, I think, 12 centers in Italy. So eventually, when we moved back to Malaysia, his Italian students would often come visit Malaysia and join his courses over there. And they would often stay more than a month. So they would used to always stay in the nearby 5-star Shangri-La resort, and they started complaining that it was getting just way too expensive, because if you're staying for more than a month, it just adds up. So, so then back in 2017, my dad actually then spoke to me about his idea of setting up some lodges to accommodate his students. And at that time, I mean, Malaysia, my hometown in Malaysia, the tourism industry has always been one of the main industries in my hometown in Malaysia. So we've got Mount Kinabalu, which is the tallest mountain in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. We've got, lots of islands for snorkeling and diving. We've got lots of wildlife. So there's lots to discover. But at that time, the tourism industry was really booming as well. And I've noticed a gap in the market whereby there wasn't really a boutique hotel or boutique resort in my hometown at that time. So you either get a lot of, city center hotels, or you get the sort of 5-star luxury resorts. And nothing really personal, more intimate and relaxed and casual. And I also noticed that there weren't really anyone doing, yoga retreats or wellness retreats like the ones that you have in Bali or Thailand, which I found quite strange, because we do have quite a similar natural environment. So I said to my dad, why don't we just take it up a notch and just make it more commercial, instead of just hosting, your group of students twice or 3 times a year? Why don't we just sort of capitalize on the tourism industry boom, and why don't we just make it more commercial and open it to public? So that's how things sort of developed over time, and we officially opened the public in March 2018. And
congratulations.
Yeah.
And it is a fusion though, isn't it? Because you've got a big Italian theme coming through the hotel. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's sort of, from my dad's background and experience in Italy, because part of the wellness aspect of the hotel is also the food, and, we do simple, wholesome Italian dishes as well at the hotel.
That sounds lovely. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up I was born in Hong Kong, but my parents met in Italy. So we lived in Italy for a while, and then I sort of grew up in Malaysia. So up until the age of 16, 17, and that's where I came to the UK to do my A-levels and then university.
So do you see yourself as Malaysian particularly, or do you see yourself as a fusion of cultures?
That's a really tough question, actually. I think I've always been quite good at, adapting to different environments and meeting new people and, learning about new cultures. So for me, I feel a bit of everything. But now most of my friends are in London, and I have, yeah, so I have a few things going on in London. So I don't know, I do feel at home in London as well, you know, and it's an amazing city. So.
And how have you found lockdown?
It's been strange, especially because it's such a challenging time for the hospitality and tourism industry. Business-wise, it's been quiet because in Malaysia we've been under lockdown since the 18th of March, and we've only recently started easing out of it. So obviously, you know, foreign and domestic travel were restricted and are still restricted. So we've had to close down, which is a shame because we've been picking up momentum. But the upside, I guess, to all of this is that we finally had some time to get some work done and get various bits done in the hotel because we were planning to add some facilities and amenities. So we finally were able to do that without worrying about disturbing guests.
And how's the hotel coming out now? How's it? The market's opening up. How is that?
Because we're waiting for the official announcement, which will be made on the 9th of June by the Malaysian government. So right now there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding that. We don't know when we can officially reopen again. But we'll wait for the announcement on the 9th of June, and from there we will decide what to do. I suspect we will do a sort of phased, gradual reopening where we, you know, have limited occupancy, and we would focus more on, you know, domestic travel first, because I think international travel will probably take a while to pick up again. And I think without a vaccine or some kind of medical solution to COVID-19, I think it will be very hard for international travel to, you know, go back to pre-pandemic levels. But I think the desire to travel is still there. It's just, you know, making sure that the appropriate sort of safety measures are in place, whether it's the airlines, at the airports, at the hotels. But it will be a slow recovery process, I think, because as we reopen, I think there will be more stringent sort of health checks at the airports, and yeah. So,
and how's this period changing you? You're telling me you're doing more cooking. How else is it changing you as well?
I think work-wise, you know, I'm quite used to working from home. So for me, it's not a big change. And I've taken this time and opportunities to sort of plan ahead for next year and sort of second half of this year. Because one thing I would like to do going forward in terms of work is, you know, to really focus on hosting and organizing retreats. So yoga retreats, wellness retreats. I think a lot of people, when they go on holiday, they just want it to be stress-free. So for me, one of the big things is actually organizing something where, you know, all the meals, accommodation, excursions, yoga, fitness sessions, as well as, you know, discussions are included. So, you know, people just have a good time, but they also gain something out of it. You know, they can have a great holiday, but also, you know, take something away if that's what they want. And, you know, personally, yeah, I've been doing a lot of cooking, baking, and just, you know, learning about new things. So,
because you're one of these characters who's multi-talented, aren't you? Because you also do photography, and manage photography tours as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm multi-talented. I'm learning photography. I'm not by any means a professional photographer, and I do sort of run a side project in London, which is called Tourby, and it's a platform for photography tours. And this idea actually initially started out as a marketplace to connect locals to travelers who are looking for local authentic experiences. So I started doing this in as well, sort of in 2017, but I sort of met quite a few challenges along the way. So, you know, I had a few problems with the web developers that I was working with, but also at that time there was a lot of competition in this space. So I noticed that Airbnb was doing a similar thing. So I did eventually launch the website and did a trial of it, and I found that the photography activities were getting more attention. It was more popular, which sort of led me to just focus on that instead and do longer duration multi-day photography tours. So yeah, that's what I do as a side project as well.
Very impressive. So you've been running two businesses almost concurrently at the same time. What have you learned as you've been going through this over the last 2 years?
That it's important to be persistent, and sometimes there will always be ups and downs, and but it's important to be persistent, believe in yourself, and sometimes inevitably you will run into problems, but I think it's important to recognize that and adapt to it and maybe pivot if you need to. Luckily, what I do concurrently, I mean, the nature of the work is quite similar. It's both in tourism. So for me, it's not been that difficult, but definitely I think, dealing with challenges, I think that's the big part of it, and learning from it. There's a lot of things I think you just learn on the job, as well with the hotel business. I don't come from a hotel management background. So for me, it was definitely a new challenge, and there were a lot of things that I learned on the way, such as, how to deal with customers, how to respond to customers. But it's a very sociable job, and when I'm back in Malaysia, and I enjoy meeting guests and just providing them with a good time and giving recommendations and just helping them and just generally wishing them to have a good holiday.
And what's your long-term aspiration? What's your vision of where you want to get to?
So we're doing some expansion and upgrading work with the hotel. So short-term wise, we would like to get that. I would like to get that completed. So complete the expansion and upgrade of the hotel. Strengthen the brand so that people associate it with wellness. Get the retreats going in the next year or so, when eventually things start opening again. And in the long term wise, it's a dream of mine. Hopefully, I can set up another branch in another location. That is a big leap, but a girl can dream. So so that's what I would work towards. And as for Tourby, it is still quite new because of the change of the direction of the business. So far, I've been running only a few tours, and unfortunately, that has also been hit by the pandemic. So me and my tour partners, we're planning for next year. So my hope for that is to add new exciting destinations to the platform, and sort of build a stronger photography community around the brand.
And where's your market for your hotel? Where's it come from? Where's the customer base come from up to this point? We
do a lot of, because the location of our hotel is sort of half an hour away from the city centre. So, and it's more secluded, and it's got a more natural rustic environment. So we do tend to appeal to, I think, a lot of young European guests. So we have a lot of guests from the UK, actually, from Spain, from the Netherlands. We have guests from Russia as well. I think, we get a lot of Chinese and Korean guests in my hometown as well. But I think culturally, they tend to prefer to stay in the city centre, where they have the convenience of everything, shopping and whatnot. But we do, I do see a shift in the trends. The sort of younger generations are more interested in, exploring, just renting a car and, trying to find more sort of authentic places, or places that have a more unique aspect to it. So we do get a lot of young customers, actually.
I was going to say, from what you're saying, it sounds like you've got a younger clientele than older clientele. Is that fair or not?
Yeah. We've definitely had, I would say 70 to 80% of our clientele of our customers are quite young.
That's interesting. And do you see a generation, because it's all about the Zen, isn't it? And the keeping calm and relaxation and having a better life balance. Is that something you're seeing in the younger generations than the older generations?
I see it in the older generations as well. So the older guests that come to the hotel, they are very interested in meditation and in Tai Chi and Qigong, especially just because of the health benefits. But also there is a strong interest amongst like younger clients as well, who are interested in yoga and who are also interested in mindfulness and meditation and yeah, and I guess just sort of cultivating that inner strength and yeah, and that inner confidence to be self-sufficient.
And for you, you've grown up in lots of different cultures. We touched on that earlier. Has that been, do you think, an advantage? Has it made you more worldly and more understanding of different cultures as we go through this period?
Yeah, I think so. As I said earlier, it's sort of made me understand, you know, because I've sort of come across, you know, thankfully enough, I've come across people from sort of all walks of life. So for me, being able to adapt to other cultures easily is one thing, but also being able to, you know, understand different people and, you know, where they come from. I would say, yeah, it's definitely made me, it's definitely been a benefit to me, especially when it comes to making conversations. And
I was going to say, are you naturally confident?
Am I naturally confident? Yeah. Do you know what? I'm naturally an introvert. So for me, and I'm an only child. So, you know, growing up, I used to spend a lot of time, you know, with parents or sort of people who are slightly older than me. And I've always been very shy as a kid. But I think since, you know, moving to the UK and having to live alone and deal with a lot of things by myself, I think that sort of increased my confidence a little bit, and also having started my own business also really helped me push me out of my comfort zone. So no, I'm not naturally confident, but I think it's sort of built over time, and I still have a lot to learn.
As we all do, believe me, never stops. Thank you, Kunya. No, it's been a delight talking to you, so thank you very much indeed. And I wish you very well
for having me.
No, it's a pleasure with the group at the hotel. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.